Well, this is great. So now, with respect to the technical components of the process of, I guess, legislating this or recognizing in an international basis that this is in fact the case from an environmental perspective, there's a series of different international meetings that were scheduled or processed, and I think you've been to 2 already.
Yes, I have.
And so why don't you tell us a little bit about those and ones that are scheduled to come up.
Right. In 2009, the world sat down and said, let's do a treaty. They met in Nairobi. And they met again in Thailand. These are diplomats. They have to have lots of meetings and lots of people in the room. So in Thailand, they set the schedule. So there's 5 negotiating sessions, 2 down, 3 to go. A continent by continent. We're going to Nairobi, going to Africa for the 3rd one. We'll go to South America, Montevideo for the 4th one in 2012. By the 5th one will be held, and the treaty will be signed in Minamata Bay, the site of one of the worst mercury poisonings ever in Japan.
Japan, yeah.
And the Japanese have asked for that. It's wonderful.
And what were the first 2?
The first 2 were in Stockholm and then in Chiba, a suburb of Tokyo.
Okay.
And so we have, before the treaty started in early 2010, I created the World Alliance for Mercury-Free Dentistry, founded it, and we invited NGOs from all over the world. Since then, we have leaders all over the world. We have vice presidents for Africa, Europe, the Americas, Middle East, East Asia, Oceania. Each region has a vice president, unpaid. Where I mean, they may be paid by other NGOs, but this organization is a coalition. So people just contribute their time. We go to the treaty sessions as a team. We have mercury-free dentists and consumers. We're multiracial, multi-regional, and we are having an impact. The World Dental Federation comes too. They tend to be all men, all white, all from North America and Europe. See, so we're a little different. We're much more diverse, gender, race, and region. And their message is not getting across. I mean, they just look like people that said, you know, we want to practice dentistry like our grandfathers. This has been good for 150 years, and of course our answer is, and what else do you like about pre-Civil War medicine? So they're not catching on, but of course they have a lot of political allies. Our most disappointing country so far, Joe, by the way, is Australia. They are the ones that have asked, the only one though, that's the good news, but one country that has asked to not have amalgam in the treaty, to move it somewhere else, don't put it in the phase-out list. So we are organizing like crazy in Australia. Dr. Lisa Matrice, a big fan of yours and your newsletter, is the organizer of Australians for Mercury-Free Dentistry. We have a lot of NGOs, dentists, who are going back to the government and say, you've made a mistake. You weren't paying attention, and I don't think they were. And we think we can change that policy before Nairobi. We think by Nairobi we will have no countries, we hope and believe, no countries will say we don't want amalgam in the treaty. We want amalgam in the treaty at the 3rd session. If we can get amalgam in the treaty, then comes the harder part, the details, the fine print. How will we phase out amalgam? How, when, and under what rules? And that will be just as difficult because loopholes, of course, hey, I'm a lawyer, loopholes can kill you.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And we're grateful that you're aware of that and can implement strategies to make sure there are no loopholes that will allow countries to circumvent this really desperately needed initiative. So you're hopeful that this process, this strategy of seeking to identify mercury as an environmental contaminant concern and as a result of that concern, eliminate it from the dental field will happen in Japan. What year is that, 2012?
2013 will be the signing of the treaty in late 2013, and then we go back country by country to implement.
Yeah, so it's only 2
years.
In
democracies, it has to be. You sign a treaty, then
so
you
it may take another
Congress
few years
has to implement it.
So it might take a few years after that. So
yes,
maybe 2015.
we will have a plan. We need that would be great. That would be great.
In the meantime, 2015 is still a long way off. It's 4 years. It's about the time it takes to go to 4 years of high school or college. And what would you recommend that the average American can do to be proactive about this? Is there a way that they can have a voice and help catalyze this process, and what can they do personally?
Well, you're right. I mean, every year amalgams around. Thousands of children in America, millions around the world are getting poisoned. Unborn children are being permanently damaged, if not killed, in the womb from when a mother getting a material. What they can do, join us. Join Consumers for Dental Choice is the group that is the U.S. group, our group. We're part of that World Alliance for Mercury-Free Dentistry. Go to our website. It's called Toxic Teeth. Very easy to remember, toxicteeth.org. And sign up and get on our list, because we have ideas of what to do with the Food and Drug Administration, what to do on the treaty, what to do in California, what to do in Australia or Canada or Europe. Wherever you are, we need your help. Or you can just write me, Charlie IE, it's spelled that way, Charlie at toxicteeth.org. And we'd love to have people join up, be
Great.
part of the movement. We need you wherever you are in the United States or wherever you are on planet Earth.
Terrific. And you know, personally, of course, there's just really is no justification ever to get a mercury filling. There's just none for you or your family, certainly your children, which is really the focus of this new initiative. So the concern here is that if you get excited, like I did when I was younger, I think my early 30s, and found a dentist and said, take them all out. He was a really qualified dentist. He was one of the elders of the church I was going to, and did a good job technically, but he was inept and clueless with respect to understanding the pathology and the toxicity of mercury, so he did no precautions and just devastated my system with loads of mercury, which caused some physical problems for me. And so I made the mistake, and I don't want you to make that mistake. So if you're going to remove this, it is really crucial. It's absolutely essential that you identify a qualified biological dentist who believes in the toxicity of mercury, who will take the appropriate precautions, such as the suction to remove the mercury vapors during the extraction, and the dams, the physical dams. So you've got to, and then replace it with a safe material. So just don't jump from the frying pan into the fire, because it could be very dangerous, and you could just have a very dramatic health catastrophe if you take this out improperly. So you're playing with fire here. Mercury is a real serious poison. It doesn't take much, literally a drop. I believe the last analogy I have is a drop of mercury in a swimming pool, an Olympic-sized swimming pool, far exceeds the toxicity by the EPA standards of too much mercury.
Oh, I'm sure if it were
It's
the
like
Olympic pool was a lake instead of a pool, you couldn't fish there. They'd shut it down.
They'd shut it down. So a drop in a lake, that's even more of a dramatic example. So thank you for that powerful metaphor, because it's just difficult to grasp these numbers. It's like, you know, how big is space, and, you know, how far away is the sun and the nearest star. You know, our mind just fails to comprehend those. So, but mercury is a really potent poison. It's one of the most potent we know. So that's why we're so careful about these placing it and taking it out, and then more importantly, in a proactive global perspective for the future generations, is that these initiatives are so crucial.
Well, they are on a macro level, but all causes are also one. They are one at the grassroots level, and the grassroots rising up in places like California, where Costa Mesa, California said, we don't want any amalgam immediately. Those were the kind of messages we could send to the United States government. So what happens at the local level is important. But what happens at the personal level is important, Joe. People who know there should not be amalgam need to tell family and friends, need to tell neighbors, need to make sure don't let the dentist talk you into this for your child. That's a message that millions of Americans need to give each other, millions of world citizens. So I hope that people don't just say, I better do something in this cause, and what can I do in this cause? What you can start with is simply being in the office, in the family, in the home, in the workplace, in the church, in the clubs, is to say, you know, this is a bad thing. And they said, but a dentist told me otherwise. Well, you got the wrong dentist. You can go to this dentist, they'll tell you the opposite. But the point is, it's not the dentist's decision. It's not the dentist's mouth, it's your mouth.
Yes, and I think it's a good point to close on, because ultimately you and your family can take control of your health, and clearly eliminating toxins from your environment is a very powerful strategy to do that, because you can have the best diet, best sleeping, exercise, drinking the finest water on the planet, but if you've got a toxic influence, it's really going to cause some serious health problems for you, certainly increase the risk for that. So this is one of the most pervasive ones, and it's a real challenge to remove it from your system once it's there. So the best strategy is, like almost anything in life, is prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth pounds, maybe tons of cure. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Charlie, for coming here all the way from Washington, D.C. to help enlighten our listeners, and for all the amazing work you're doing and really helping eliminate. You're a major crusader. You're one of my heroes, and really and taking this to heart. So thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you for educating so many millions day in and day out, Joe. We really appreciate that.
All right.